Okay, welcome to day 13 of Shipmas, where I am shipping something for Genla every day until Christmas and posting about it. So today's feature that I implemented is enabling you to set higher limits on the maximum number of consecutive messages that your agents respond to you with. So what does that mean? For some background, Genla is pretty flexible in that if you want to have a very interactive experience, you want to be involved in a conversation, maybe you speak, you wait for one or two agents to respond, you respond to that, you interrupt them, you can do that. You can have a very interactive experience. But I've found that a different approach is to take more of an observational role. You create a few agents, have them debate against each other, and then you just watch. You learn through observing. And maybe you chime in to help guide the conversation, but it's a lot more hands-off. And so the agents are pretty smart in that they determine how eager they are to respond to your message or to the previous agent's message, depending on what they said and what the previous agent said and what they want to say, whether they can add a response of value, or if the previous agent said something that really requires the user to respond, maybe they'll be less eager to respond and then the user responds. But I did have a limit set on the number of consecutive messages that the agents can send to avoid a situation where they just go off, send a bunch of messages and the user's just left watching, kind of out of the loop and frustrated. And so that's great and all, but especially if you want that second type of experience where you do just watch through observing the debate, that 3 limit was not the best. To make that a little better, I had added this chip that shows up that you click and then tells them to continue. But I found that I was pressing that all the time. And so what I added today is if you go here, you can now modify, instead of having the default limit of 3 consecutive agent turns, you can put it all the way up to 10 if you want. Save the changes. And yeah, so I'll just kind of show an example debate. Let's say we want them to debate on who's the greatest of all time in basketball history. So we'll see what they have to say. Let's see what agents the AI comes up with for this conversation. And we have the statistical analyst here. Here's the prompt: cultural critic, debate challenger, and sports historian. Okay, so let's start the conversation. And so whereas previously the limit would be 3 consecutive messages, now they can go up to 10. Now again, they can still concede control to the user when they believe that, when they're not as eager to respond. Maybe it's because they expect the user to chime in, or if they don't feel like they have something of substance to add. But now the limit's all the way back up to 10. So let's see what they're saying here, actually. So the sports historian is saying MJ, of course, the classic 6 for 6 in the finals MVP every time, what you'd expect. Let's see. The debate challenger, of course, is going to go with LeBron. Yeah, classic, what you'd expect. The sports historian chimes back. Cultural critic comes in, and let's see. All right, cool. And then, another one in the Jordan camp. Sports historian is pretty active here. The statistical analyst. Let's see. Yeah, of course, the statistical analyst is gonna, go with LeBron. That makes sense. But let's see. So we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 straight messages before they determined that it was time for the user to chime in or whatever. So yeah, that just kind of shows you're able to let the conversation flow a lot more naturally before you're prompted to chime back in. And you can always tell them to continue, but yeah. And so if you want, so you can set that at a global level like I just did, but you can also come in here to the session preferences and then override this specifically for the session as well, just like you can do with the with the text and voice model preferences as well. So yeah, that's what I have for day 13 of Shipmas, but I'll be back tomorrow.